Every morning, there's a new tombstone behind your house, unmarked, freshly set, and cold to the touch. The graveyard hasn't accepted a burial in decades, yet the earth keeps shifting as if someone, or something, is still laying bodies to rest. No names, no dates, just stone after stone, multiplying quietly in the dark. And now, they're inching closer to your back fence. Today we will talk about the graveyard behind your house starts growing new, unmarked tombstones. So before we start, make sure to hit the like button and subscribe to my channel. 1. Unearthly discoveries begin. It started subtly. A shift in the backyard's atmosphere. A silence too still, too unnatural. At first, you noticed one new tombstone poking through the earth like a jagged tooth, unmarked and grey, without name or date. The graveyard had always been small, an old relic of history tucked behind your property, overgrown and quiet. But this stone wasn't there yesterday. You were sure of it. The ground around it appeared freshly disturbed, the dirt darker, damp like it had just been turned. No workers, no records, no sounds of burial. You assumed it was vandalism or a prank, maybe even your memory playing tricks. But the next morning, a second one rose beside the first, again unmarked. That's when you began checking each evening, obsessively counting. By the end of the week, there were 7, each identical in shape and texture, eerily smooth as if untouched by hand or chisel. You reported it to the local council, who dismissed your claims. After all, no new burials had been registered in years. But the stones kept appearing, and soon enough, they outnumbered the old ones. The graveyard, once a forgotten plot of land, now pulsed with quiet dread, and the question lingered, who or what was being buried there? 2. The sound beneath the soil. The tombstones were only the beginning. You started hearing sounds, soft at first, like shifting gravel or distant breathing. At night, when the world hushed into sleep, the ground behind your house whispered. It didn't sound like animals or wind. It was deliberate, rhythmic, like digging. The noise came from the direction of the new graves, always around 3:13 a.m., a time that soon became etched in your mind. You once ran out with a flashlight, heart hammering in your throat. The digging stopped as your light swept the area. Nothing but the stones, standing still. You even tried to catch it on video, setting up cameras that captured static or errors at exactly 3:13 a.m. One night, curiosity overpowered fear. You placed your ear to the soil near one of the new tombs. The sound was unmistakable, scratching, as though something below was clawing its way upward or downward. You started keeping a journal, documenting each noise, each anomaly. Your entries grew frantic. The sounds deepened, became clearer, whispers in a language you couldn't place. You stopped sleeping, afraid of what you might hear next. The worst part, the whispers didn't stay in the graveyard. They began seeping into your home. Free, unseen visitors. You began noticing movement from the corner of your eye, shadows that weren't tied to light, flickers in reflective surfaces. At first, you blamed stress, but then you saw them. Tall, indistinct shapes standing between the graves, silent and still. Sometimes they watched you from behind the trees, half shrouded in fog that hadn't existed a moment ago. They never stepped beyond the cemetery boundary, until they did. You found muddy prints on your porch one morning, long, narrow, almost human, but not quite. Your door was locked. Nothing was stolen, but your salt line had been broken. You'd placed it there out of superstition after the 6th tombstone. The next night, you heard your name whispered just outside your bedroom window. You pulled the curtain aside, heart in your mouth. No one was there. But in the morning, a new tombstone had appeared, closer to the edge of the graveyard, closer to your house. You tried showing others, friends, even police, but when they visited, the stones looked old and unchanging. They saw nothing strange. You stopped inviting them. Somehow, you realized the graveyard wasn't meant for their eyes. It was watching you alone, and it was getting closer. 4. Names of the forgotten. One night, as you studied the newest tombstone, you noticed something strange, faint etchings that hadn't been there before. They weren't carved in, more like they emerged from the stone. Letters pushing outward. You rubbed the surface. Dust flaked away, revealing your last name. Panic gripped you. Each day after, more names appeared. They weren't names of the dead. They were names of the living, neighbors, old friends, people you hadn't spoken to in years. Then came the night your dog refused to go near the graveyard. She whined, growled, and ran inside, tail between her legs. That same night, a tombstone bore her name. She disappeared 2 days later. No blood, no signs of struggle, just a collar on the front steps and another tombstone. You began to check the stones each morning, dreading who you'd see next. When your own name appeared on 3 stones, each one with a different date, you realized something horrifying. The graveyard wasn't just growing, it was predicting. Or worse, planning. You burned one of the stones in desperation. It didn't even warm in the fire. The name reappeared the next morning. This place didn't forget, and now it wouldn't let go. 5. Digging for answers. Desperate for truth, you dug. Literally. Armed with a shovel and flashlight, you chose the oldest new tombstone, the first one that had appeared. It took hours. The soil was unnaturally thick, packed like it hadn't seen daylight in centuries. You expected to find an empty coffin or nothing at all. But you found something worse. A body. Or what was left of one. The corpse looked mummified but recent. Its eyes were open, mouth twisted in horror, as if buried alive. No insects, no decay. Its clothes looked like modern fabric, familiar even. You realized with dawning horror that it was your missing neighbor, the one who vanished a week after you saw her name. Shaking, you called the authorities. But when they arrived, the hole was filled in. The tombstone was gone. No body, no evidence, just grass. They looked at you with suspicion. You knew they didn't believe you. That night you dreamt of digging again, but this time the body was yours, and you were still breathing when the dirt hit your face. 6. The gravekeeper's warning. Just when you thought you were alone, an old man appeared at your door. Weathered, eyes cloudy like stone, he said he used to be the gravekeeper. You let him in, desperate for answers. He didn't sit. He stood by the window, staring at the graveyard. He said it was never meant to be there. The land chooses its own dead, he whispered. He spoke of a curse, of a ritual gone wrong decades ago. A burial that shouldn't have happened. Someone was buried in anger, without rights, and now the land takes back what was stolen. Every soul laid to rest without peace calls for another. You live too close, he said. You've been seen. When you asked what to do, he handed you a tattered book, full of old rites, warding symbols, and burial practices long forgotten. Then he left, vanishing into the mist like he'd never been there. 7. The house that watches. Your home changed too. The walls whispered your name. The mirrors fogged up with writing. Rooms felt colder, time slower. The graveyard's influence crept inside. Doors opened on their own. Lights flickered in rhythm with the 313 scratching. You tried cleansing, sage, salt, iron nails in doorways. It only made things worse. The house pulsed like a heart, alive with dread. You watched your reflection blink out of sync. You saw shadows moving behind you when you were alone. Objects rearranged themselves. One night, your living room window revealed not your backyard, But the cemetery, closer than it should be, tombstones pressing up to the glass. You took a photo. It showed nothing but trees. Your house was no longer a barrier. It was a part of it now. If you liked this video and would like to see more like it, please give it the thumbs up. Leave a comment and click the button to subscribe.